Ladies and gentlemen, please continue to enjoy your food. Let's welcome back to the stage Louisville Urban League's President and CEO, Lyndon Pryor.
Good afternoon now. Hopefully you all have enjoyed your meal. Shout out to Center Plate for the service. Thank you to all the servers who are here and the hard work that you all are doing. We appreciate you. And I hope that you've enjoyed your conversations with your ambassadors at the table. You all know, those who have been here, this is always a bit of a track meet, trying to get through all the things that we need to get through, and so we're gonna do our best, but we've got some special things that we wanted to do, and I told you all that the word for me has been gratitude, and there's a lot for us to be grateful for, including some people that we want to be able to honor, and so we've got a couple of special announcements that we want to do. But before I do that, I realized in welcoming that there were a couple important people who I did not recognize. One being my beautiful wife, Dr. Brandy Kelly Pryor. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your constant and continual support of me, of the league, of our family. She is a rock star in every way, and so thank you, sweetie, for being here. I also want to thank our kids, Austin and August, who many of you, oddly enough, have known and met because they are often tagging along at some event. But they also are incredible supporters of me and of the league and of the work. They know the work that we do, and they talk about the work that we do, and they are always cheering us on, and so I appreciate them. I actually invited my daughter, she is a third grader, to come here and participate in this. She knows we've been planning for this for weeks now, and so I said, hey, you want to come and see what happens, how all the work comes to be or whatever, but she has dance at school today, and so she said no. I'd much rather do that, and which is why I appreciate children, because they will always keep you humble. It really does not matter how big your title is. They will remind you that you ain't much at the drop of a hat. So, but I thank them for just the love that they give their dad. So I wanted to make sure I did that. Now, we've got a couple of special things to do here. In the fall of 2022, Humana made a health equity legacy gift to the Louisville Urban League in honor of Sadiqa Reynolds, our illustrious former president and CEO. One of the things that I wanted to do was to make sure that that gift, that award was going to be used as its namesake desired. And so, after conversations with Sadiqa directly, a portion of this gift will be used to grow people in a very special way. In recognition of Humana's portion of the gift, the first $20,000 that is yielded from that fund will be utilized to establish the Sadiqa Reynolds Scholarship for Mental Health Resilience, which is an academic support for high school and college students who have demonstrated academic resilience in the face of mental illness, either personally or within their immediate family. The funds raised above that $20,000 are going to be used to establish the Sadiqa Reynolds Louisville Urban League Employee Wellness Scholarship, a scholarship that will annually support initiatives to enhance the well-being of Louisville Urban League employees. This scholarship will cover up will cover all expenses up to $5,000 for a 5-day retreat that may include wellness programs, counseling services, fitness activities, or other initiatives. As many of you know, mental health and well-being are of great significance and personal importance to Sadiq. Supporting the mental health of young people and frontline staff at the Louisville Urban League are things she was intentionally concerned about and wanted to ensure were part of her legacy at this organization and in this community. Thank you to Humana for your investment, and thank you to Sadiq for your continued commitment to mental health and the Louisville Urban League. I'm going to invite Sadiq Reynolds up if she wanted to say a word or two about her gifts.
Hi, wow, look at this crowd. Hi, everybody. I just would again like to say, first of all, thank you so much to Humana for making this possible. It is, I think, the greatest legacy. I woke up this morning and thought about the fact that even when I am no longer here, there will be young people going to school who have survived whatever their challenges, and I'm so grateful to Humana for allowing that. And I'm also thankful to Lyndon for asking me and for, giving me the opportunity to weigh in. And I also want to join Lyndon in thanking the wonderful board of the Urban League for stepping up and for supporting Lyndon. And thank you to this community for supporting the Urban League, for continuing to support the Urban League, and for supporting Lyndon Pryor. I am so honored to continue to be a member of this fabulous organization, to continue until the day I die, to be a part of this wonderful organization. This city matters so much to me, but even more than that is this Louisville Urban League and also Lyndon Pryor. And I want to say this since I got the mic, I'll say, Lyndon was the very first person that I hired when I started at the league. So as it turns out, he's now been here longer than I even was. And he wrote the grant to make sure he could actually keep his job because we didn't have the money to do that. And so he wrote the grant, Humana actually. And I am just so proud to see him in this role and so thankful. And so that nobody is confused, he did not ever apply for this job. He stepped up when he was needed and he did what he had to do. And what I love so many things about this big black man standing behind me. But one of them is that I have seen him over and over again figure out a way to make space for women and for black women especially. He moved to Kentucky for his beautiful wife, Dr. Brandy Kelly Pryor, who I had the opportunity to hire when I worked for Louisville Metro. He came here for her. And then he came to the league when I asked him, and he worked with me, and so I know that he was able to follow a woman. And then when I left, he made space for a woman. And now he is man enough to step up and do what needs to be done. And so thank you, Lyndon. God bless you.
Thank you, Sadiq. That means a lot. A lot. Those are the words I got at the moment. I want to say about the endowment, if you all are paying attention, the QR codes that are on your table tents will take you to a site to be able to contribute to the league, but you can contribute directly to these endowments if you want to see them grow, as we should in this community. And so I want to make sure I lift that up before I forget. The next recognition that I give is really special, and it's why I've asked Sadiqa to stay here, so that we can be here together to do this. In the fall of 2015, the Louisville Urban League Board of Directors gifted the league with a generous donation to establish an endowment in honor of Benjamin K. Richmond, who served as president and CEO of the league. As president and CEO, Ben served as a cornerstone of Louisville's social activism for over a quarter century. A significant advocate for economic equality and education attainment, Mr. Richmond remained committed to these pursuits until his retirement in 2015. 2 months ago, I met with Ben to discuss his specific desires for the funds, and per his wishes, funds will be used to establish the Benjamin K. Richmond Scholarship for undergraduate studies in business, an academic scholarship to a deserving Black public school graduating senior in Louisville, Kentucky, who has been accepted into a 4-year degree program with a business or business development concentration. The scholarship should be no less than $10,000. Additionally, the endowment funds will support Black-owned businesses, a real passion for Ben, and entrepreneurs. Through the Benjamin K. Richmond Small Business Development Grant, the league shall set aside no less than $10,000 to be used to support Black-owned businesses and Black entrepreneurs participating with our Center for Entrepreneurship. Ben, who could not be here with us today, he is dealing with his own health issues and wanted to be here, and in fact was sending me text messages up to a couple days ago saying he was going to try to make it. But in his absence, I just want to say thank you, Ben, for your years of tireless service to the Louisville Urban League, to the greater Urban League movement, and to the progress of Black people everywhere. Personally, I want to thank Ben and Sadiqa for the support and help they have shown me over the last several months since transitioning into this role. Your friendship and your mentorship mean more than you could know. And so that is a photo of us that we took several months ago, but we are sitting in the boardroom at the Louisville Urban League. And it is really interesting because I think Sadiqa acknowledged that we don't know that there is another city, affiliate city in the National Urban League movement to have 3 living CEOs still in their city. And so that is a really big deal, and to do that in that space, we are sitting in the boardroom of the Louisville Urban League that Ben Richmond built, and then we also have photos over here in the building that Sadiqa Reynolds built. And so the lasting impact of the league simply cannot be denied. All right, last thing, and don't move. I'm going to now invite Kevin Dunlap up because we've got one more thing that we want to do in honor of Ben. And while Kevin gets here, I will say this, and Sadiqa doesn't know this at all. She will be presented with a document this morning. The board approved a resolution that named both you and Ben Richmond President Emeritus for the Louisville Urban League. And so a title that you will hold for a lifetime, and it is well deserved. Thank you so much. At this time, I am inviting Mr. Kevin Dunlap, Executive Director of Rebound, Inc., to join me on the stage. Hey, there's nothing there for you to say.
Okay. I was looking down for my script, but I was told I don't have one. So I'll just create it as I go. Several months ago, Rebound, which is an organization that Ben Richmond created. The organization was created back in 1993. And up until recently, it served as a program up under the Urban League, but now stands as its own set-aside nonprofit organization. We do housing development, affordable housing development. And in talking with my staff and with the board members of Rebound, we decided that it was high time that we did something in the name of Ben Richmond. So in partnership with the Louisville Urban League, Rebound Inc. is developing 15 units of affordable housing located in the Russell neighborhood in West Louisville, and we're naming it after Ben Richmond. As you can see, the building is going to be a wonderful building. It is right next to the headquarters that is actually being completed as of today. So thank you, Lyndon. Thank you, Sadiqa, for your leadership in helping us to make this happen. Now, that project is about $4.5 million. So I'll just throw this out here. We can still use a little money to help make it work. Thank you all.
Yes. Thank you, Bo. That is exciting. Again, I said today is about, for me, about gratitude, and we really wanted to honor Ben and his legacy and body of work that he's left on this city, which not many people know about. When we went to talk to him about this project, you know, it was really exciting. We got to sit with him for about an hour and to listen to him recount and talk about all the things that the league has done and that he had done. What I did not realize was that the building that sits at 16th and Broadway, the Louisville Urban League building, was the first development project that had happened in the West End in more than 50 years, right? And I shared with him, I said, you know, that's really interesting because this project that we're sitting in here was certainly the largest, but one of the only projects that had happened in the West End, significant non-residential projects that had happened in the West End since he built that building. And so the Louisville Urban League continues to lead and continues to make an impact in every single way. And so it is an honor to be able to honor Ben, to be able to honor Sadiqa for all that they have done. All right, so now is the time that I am supposed to squeeze in all of what we have done in the last year into roughly 10 minutes. And we will figure out how I'm going to do that. But it's been a really great year, and I'll let you know that, again, if you scan the QR codes, you can go and see the annual report book. It is up on the website. You can download it, and so you can get all of the numbers that we have here right there at your fingertips. But I do just want to take a brief moment to kind of run through what we've been able to accomplish over the last year or so. And I want to start with who we serve, because that is incredibly important to remember that the Urban League continues to serve those who are most in need. 90% of our clients are 80% or below AMI in our community. In fact, 75% of those we serve are 50% or below AMI in our community. And so we are serving those who are most economically disadvantaged, who are most in need. 82% of our clients are Black. 65% of our clients are women, and more than half of those households have children in them. So we are serving the families who are most impacted and who are most in need. That is our target. And that is our demographic. That is who we are after. Yes, we serve more than 8 counties across Kentucky as well as in southern Indiana, and we have folks from all over. And we are always about the business of those who are most marginalized and Black people at every end of the economic spectrum. But I think it is important to remember that we are doing work for and on behalf of and in partnership and with those who are most impacted every single day. But our business is that of jobs, justice, education, health, housing, and now Black business. In the area of jobs, we are continuing to do a great job. This year, we crossed more than 500 graduates from our Kentuckiana Builds program, a partnership that we have with the state and with Kentuckiana Works and lots of great partners. And so we have men and women who are being certified and going off to change the landscape and the skyline of our great city on projects like right down the street, the Norton West Hospital, which is going up. We have members of our graduating class who are participating in helping to build that facility as we speak. Beyond construction, we place more than 214 people into careers, and we have 141 seniors in our Urban Senior Job Program across 35 host agencies all across the state. I love our Urban Senior Jobs Program. I love our seniors. We have to do more, Louisville, as a city, of taking care of our seniors. I don't know if Pastor Finley is in here, who runs Elder Serve, but he talks about the great silver tsunami that is coming our way, in which we will have far more seniors in our community than we have of any other demographic. We have to continue to be there to support them, and part of that is not just making sure that they have the care that they need physically and health-wise and at home, but also making sure that they have access to employment and job opportunities wherever possible. And so we are doing that work through USJP. Shout out to our USJP team for all that they are doing. And then while we consider all of our work to be justice work, there are some specific things where we are digging deep when it comes to justice. Our Raleigh Reentry Project this year has expunged expunged more than 1,200 cases for almost 500 people. And so we know that criminal history continues and justice involvement continues to be a huge barrier for people being able to access opportunity and thrive in this community. And so we are doing that work intentionally at the League, and we are still the largest purveyor of expungements across the entire state of Kentucky. We do more than anybody else, or quite frankly, we do more than everybody else combined in the state of Kentucky. But here's the thing that I want. I was talking to Chabela Sanchez, our data officer, and she showed something to me in these numbers that I think is really interesting, and I want to lift up for you all. I said we had almost 500 people who we were able to expunge their records. We had almost 800 people to apply with us. And so roughly almost 300 folks or so were not eligible for an expungement at this time for various reasons. But 60% of those 300 were not eligible for a specific reason. They were not eligible because they had a recent conviction. And that conviction, I don't want to get too deep into the legalese of all of that, but basically you have to have 5 years of no types of convictions. That includes like traffic violations, all sorts of different things, in order to be eligible for an expungement. You have to have at least 5 years of no other type of conviction. So 60% of the 300 folks who were not eligible had one conviction that was keeping them from getting an expungement. That one conviction for 60% of the people was a traffic violation. That traffic violation was driving without insurance. I think that is incredibly important for people to understand. That one violation is preventing people from getting an expungement. And if anybody who does work, and I know there are several partners in the room who understand the incredible burdens we have around transportation, but particularly for those, if you've ever tried to insure a car in the West End, it can be up to twice as expensive to insure a car in the West End as it is just several blocks down the street. That is a problem. And we have got to start to do things about it, and that is going to take more than just what the Urban League can do. That is going to take policymakers, that is going to take lawyers, that is going to take a lot of people to deal with. These are the vestiges of redlining. When we talk about the legacy of redlining in our city, that is what this is about. Because it flows into things just like that we've got 300 people who are unable to fully access opportunity because they can't afford insurance for their car. Additionally, our policy team has hit the ground running and is engaging legislators, not just here in Louisville, but in Frankfurt, and quite frankly, across the nation, to talk about policy. Because again, all of this hinges on policy change. We can put together the best programs possible, but ultimately we got to the place that we are as a city and as a community and as a society because policy got us there. And if we are going to get out of it, we are going to have to change structures and policies in order to do that. And so we are doing that work at the Louisville Urban League. I'm incredibly proud at all of the places in which we are showing up every day, testifying in committees and at Frankfurt, going to meet directly with legislators. We are building coalitions with other affiliates as well as with other legislators in other states across the region for us to do things like Clean Slate. We are pushing the vote because voting is still incredibly important in there. And make no mistake about it, our vote is still under assault. And so we are going to do everything that we can do as the Louisville Urban League to defend our right to democracy and make sure that people have access to the voting booth. That is the work of our policy team, and I'm incredibly proud of what they have been able to do. In terms of education, many of you have been in spaces and have heard me say, and I've been saying it for years, that the work that the Louisville Urban League does in education may in fact be the most consequential work that we ever do. It is the most important thing that I can think of that we do, and that is not to say that everything else is not important, because it obviously is. But the work that we do in education is going to change generations of lives for families and for this community. We have, through the generous contributions of foundations like Brown-Forman, through gifts from the state, we have embarked upon an intensive tutoring program where we are providing outside intensive tutoring for students in math and reading, as well as in ACT prep for high school students. We are doing that work because we know that JCPS is not going to be able to close the gap alone. They cannot do it. It is not fair to ask them to do it. We are always asking the public school system to bear the brunt of what society refuses to do for itself, and they cannot do it all themselves. And so we, as an organization, we as a community, have to do our part. And so the Urban League is invested in doing that. And let me tell you, it is working. It is absolutely working. We have hundreds of kids who are participating in our program. And for our ACT prep students, they are now testing above the national average when they take their ACT exams. And there are parents and some students sitting at some of you all's tables who are connected to our Kumon intensive tutoring program, and we know that is doing great work for them as well. They are more confident, they are gaining in their classes, they are hitting the mark where they need. We are actually changing lives for folks every single day through this work, and I could not be more proud of our education team and the work that they're doing, because it is hard. It is absolutely hard to do this, to get people to show up, to show out, because we are using a Kumon model. And so those of you who know about Kumon Learning Centers, they're great centers. They do great work. They help to really close the gap for kids. But let's be honest, Kumon would allow us to place a center in the West End because they know that typically our families can't afford it. And so the closest we could get, and this is how invested we are in this, is in Newburgh. And so last year we opened the Kumon Wellington Center over there, and it is now the best performing Kumon in the world. Don't know if Aisha is here, but we are doing amazing things. Because here's the thing. One of the things when we started to do this work, and we said that we were going to partner with Kumons to do it, there were a lot of people, and rightfully so, who said, hey, Kumon's great and all, but they're not always culturally responsive. Those centers don't always work best for our kids. And we said, we know, but just trust us. And so what we did, in addition to working with those other centers and working with those, with the owners there, to make sure that our kids felt welcome as best as humanly possible, we opened our own, and we worked with an entrepreneur who came through our program, who we know loves our community, a Black woman who cares about our kids, and she has opened up a facility that is committed to making sure our kids' experience is exactly what it needs to be. So I cannot thank everyone who's been a part of that enough for that work, and we're continuing to do more because we're not going to get there overnight. And so we need more investment, we need more innovation, we need to figure out more ways, we need more partners at the table, and we're going to continue to do that. While I'm here, though, let me make sure that I say this about our partners at JCPS, and I know Dr. Marshall is here and some other folks from the district are here. Make no mistake about it, the Urban League is still an absolute supporter and defender of JCPS and public education. I want to be absolutely clear. I think I recognize in the same way that they do that there are certainly things that they need to do in places in which they can grow and improve, and I think Dr. Polio is doing his best to make some of those change happen, but change takes time, and we are going to continue to be right alongside with them as they do that. And so if there is a question, and I've already said it, but I'll say it again, if there's a question about where we stand in terms of dividing the district, we say hell no. We don't believe that that's okay. If there are folks who want to return to the vestiges of segregation, they can try, but understand they will have the fight of their lives on their hands. This does not make any sense, and we will not stand for it. In the areas of health, which, as Sadiq alluded to, is somewhat of a personal passion for me, because that is how I got started here in the Urban League movement. Our health navigators continue to serve those most in need and help them navigate all sorts of problems and issues. We are dealing with the social determinants of health every single day. We do not focus on a particular issue or a physical health issue. It's not for us about diabetes or obesity or COPD. We ask people, what do you need? And then we do our best to find solutions and remove barriers to those obstacles every single day. Over the last year, we have deployed on behalf of the city $3.1 million in rental and deposit assistance. We are helping to keep people in homes because we recognize that housing is a health issue. And so that is critically important for us, and we are continuing to do that work. The navigators are doing their best to respond to people. It is hard, it is tedious. We're not only having to work with tenants, but we have to work with landlords, some of whom are not always the best actors. We are having to deal with ways in which to weed out fraud in different places, but we are doing it because we know that it is important work, and so I cannot thank that staff enough for the work that we're doing. I also want to lift up the work that we're doing around mental health. We have partnered with Sister Alicia DeRitt Johnson and begin to talk to be able to provide community wellness groups so that we can get more access to our community, more mental health access to our community every single day. Folks have the opportunity to go and participate in 8-week cohorts of group therapy targeted at certain demographics, because we know that mental health is a consistent concern. It is something that we need to address. It is something that is an ongoing problem. And we are now at a place where, as a community, we are actually starting to talk about it more. Now we have to make sure that the resources are available for people to get the help that they now desire. And so that is going to take a lot of investment from our partners, not just in hospitals and insurers and payers, but community partners as well. There are lots of people who are doing this work around the city. We need to make sure that they are funding, that they have access to the people who need access to them. In the work of housing, we continue to help lots of people to reach their financial goals and hopefully their home ownership goals. Kevin alluded to it earlier. The Urban League has always been about home ownership because we believe that Black people have the right and deserve to own the spaces that they are in. And so that is always a focus for us. And so we are taking people from wherever they are and getting them to spaces where they can experience financial freedom. And so this year we had over 133 folks who are ready to own. And I always like to put a pin in that, because ready to own for us sounds really simple. But really what ready to own means is that these are folks who not only have cleared debt, but they have saved money. They understand their finances. They have increased and improved their credit substantially. And they are in a position where they can make the decision for themselves. They can go and buy the house that they want, that they can afford, and they can make and choose their own destiny. And so 133 people who are now financially free is incredibly significant. $88 of those individuals have gone on to purchase homes. And those of you who might be in the real estate market, you all know that now is not a great time for anybody in the housing industry. But still, we put 88 people in a position to be able to go out and purchase a home to the tune of $14.6 million in new mortgages. That is money that is circulating back into our economy. That is money that is going to some of you all my banker friends who are here. That is money that is going to some of you all's coffers. We are continuing to stimulate this economy in every single way. And I want to shout out not just Rebound as a partner, but a lot of our other housing partners as well. Through the work of A Path Forward, we have a lot of affordable housing partners who are doing heavy lifting and who are doing their best to close the gap. You all know that we need literally tens of thousands of units in this community in order to keep people out of homelessness. And our partners at Rebound, at Habitat for Humanity, at HPI, at New Directions, at River City, at S4S, they are doing that work, and I'm honored to be able to partner with them, and we're going to continue to do great work with them well into the future. And then there is our Black business work. Our Center for Entrepreneurship continues to do extraordinary work. We have, over last year, we have worked with well over 300 organizations, new organizations, entrepreneurs, and deployed more than $300,000 in vendor fees, technical assistance, and business barrier removal. We are doing all of this with lots of Path Forward partners from around the city. The thing that I love particularly about our entrepreneurship work is that we built an ecosystem. Out of the dust of the pandemic and everything that was going on, we looked around specifically in this area and we said that Louisville was not getting it done as it relates to Black entrepreneurs and Black businesses. There was no ecosystem that was available and thriving that met the needs of those individuals. But rather than going to the partners and the places where other people are getting served and trying to beg our way in, we built our own. We built a system that works for our entrepreneurs, that works for our businesses, and it is paying dividends. We have seen companies have record profits over the last year or so, folks who are doing amazing work. I always want to lift up Jakari Beatty and Joby Products and what he is doing with his Best, which is a desk and a backpack. He has orders all over the globe, and that is because of the work that we did at the Louisville Urban League and through A Path Forward. And we're going to continue to do that work. As the mayor and his team start to roll out and talk about economic development, I know a big part of that has been a focus on entrepreneurship. And we're going to be at the table to make sure that we are not forgetting Black entrepreneurs, Black businesses, and that they are getting the resources that they deserve and that they have been left out of and locked out of for so many years. And then finally, I just want to lift up the work of this facility. You know, there is, and I do wonder if he's here and he happened to buy a ticket, there is a troll who finds his way onto the Urban League's Facebook page usually once a week, and he is consistently asking, what's the economic development of the track? That is, I don't know why that is his number one concern, but that is his number one concern, is tell me what is done. And so I hope that he bought a ticket and that he is here, sir, so that we can share. And that over the last year, the track in just track events alone has had a more than $9 million economic impact on the city of Louisville. We had over 88,000 attendees and over 822 events, and that doesn't include the practices and all of that sort of stuff. That's another 400 plus events that we've had there. This building has more than paid for itself. I mean, Sadiq already had it paid for, but it has more than paid for itself in terms of the economic impact that it has done. Because again, without this space, I feel very confident in saying that there is no Goodwill campus. There is no Norton West Hospital. There may not be a Y, to be very honest. And all of the other things that are coming towards the West, it is because we built this facility and because you all supported it. And so thank you, Louisville, for your continued support and investment of the Louisville Urban League Sports and Learning Campus. I also have to highlight that we opened Centerwell next door, and that was an investment with Humana. And so we have a primary care facility in the West End that is giving amazing care to our seniors every single day. They do phenomenal work over there. If you are 55 plus and you need a primary care physician, please go check them out. It is truly phenomenal service that they are providing to our seniors. But again, all of that is because of what we did here. And so, Louisville, I just want to say thank you for all that you've done. Thank you for your investment. Thank you for your time, your talent, the resource that you've put into this organization over the last year and beyond. But I also want to say there's still more to do. We've got a lot of work ahead of us. I said at the very beginning that the numbers tell only a fraction of the story of what's there. But the other thing is that the numbers only tell us a fraction of the potential of what we can accomplish. We have to scale this work. We have an entire population of people that we need to touch. And we've got to be able to do that through proven and experienced means. And the Urban League has that. And it's not just us, because it doesn't need to just be us. We want partners at the table. We want folks who are doing this work. We're not in this for the fame or the accolades. We're going to certainly take it where we deserve it, but that's not what this is about. This is about solving the problems for those who are most in need. This is about ensuring that everybody has unfettered access to equitable opportunities to be able to thrive. This is about restoring what has been stolen from Black people in this community and across this city for decades. We got work to do, Louisville. And so to that end, I challenge you, I invite you, I ask you, I beg you to lock arms with us, to stand up, to use your voice, to use your power, to use your influence, to do whatever it is you can to help push this work forward. Where you have the ability to make space, make space. And if there is no more room at the table, then be willing to give up your seat. That takes courage. That takes a whole lot of courage. That takes sacrifice. But ultimately, that is what is necessary if we are ever going to be the city that we all believe that we can be. I've said for years that of the places that I've been, visited, worked in, have been affiliated with, Louisville is both the closest as well as the farthest from getting it right. And when I say getting it right, I mean getting it right for everybody, creating equitable, unfettered, equitable opportunity and access for every Louisvillian. We are as close as we've ever been. And that is why so many of us are so passionate about doing this work, because we can see it, we can taste it, we can touch it. It is right there. But we are far because what is required is really not a whole lot more money. It's not a whole lot more knowledge or information. What we need is more backbone. We need people in positions of power and authority to make hard decisions on behalf of the people who deserve it most. We need people who are willing to sacrifice a little bit more than what they typically do in order for us to move forward. We need people who are willing to demonstrate the courage and the intestinal fortitude to do what is right. But we can get there. And the Urban League will continue to be as much of a force as we possibly can be, certainly as long as I'm in this seat and as long as we are doing this work, but it is going to outlive me and anybody else, because the Urban League movement is a movement. We are not simply an organization. We have been doing this for more than 100 years, and we will do it as long as we need to. But let me be clear, I'm not trying to do it forever. I've said in spaces before, somebody has asked me like, oh, what would you want your legacy to be at the Urban League? And I will say very clearly, I would love to be the CEO who turns the lights off on the Urban League. I would love it. But the only way we can do that is if society, the rest of Louisville, does what it's supposed to do. And so until that day, the light's gonna be on, and we're gonna continue to do this work and go as hard as we possibly can for those who need it most. Louisville, thank you again for your time. Thank you for your indulgence here. It has been an honor and a privilege to come before you today, and I look forward to serving you for many, many, many days to come.